Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to install our intake manifold on the Subaru motor. We're getting pretty close to getting ready to put it back in. This is going to be pretty simple. 12 millimeter socket, 12 millimeter wrench, intake gaskets. We got the intake manifold sitting over there. So we're going to get that installed, get the wiring hooked up, and we may even swap out the plug wires and get the plugs in. Alright, for the gaskets, there's the big opening and a little opening, and on the head side you'll see that mark, and then on the other side there's the larger opening, and then that'll go on the other side. There's actually like alignment dowels, almost like for the cylinder heads. Slides on like that. We'll do the other side. Get it to slide on. There we go. And that one will slide like that. And now we'll grab the assembly. And gently set it on the gaskets. Just like that. Alright, the first thing before we put any of the intake bolts in is there's this bracket for the oxygen sensor connectors. It actually goes right underneath the intake. So you actually have to lift the intake to get enough clearance to get it started. And then let's work it down with the wrench and just get her good and tight. You might have to actually switch from the wrench. There we go. Just kind of find a way to get fingers in there enough to rotate it. Once we get her down to the bottom, we can grab the wrench again. Just like that. And now, drop your wrench if you want to. We don't need it anymore. Go ahead and start the intake bolts. I'd start one in each corner. That way we know that the intake is squared up, and now we'll put the remaining 6 in. Alright. And then on the inner ones, it might be easier to use a magnet. What are you looking at with that? Okay. Just kind of stick it down in there instead of trying to do some kind of miracle drop. Call it drop and pray. And then we can take our, there it is. And we can slide that down in there. That one started. That one started. We'll do the same on the other side. All these on this side. This one you have to move the wiring a little bit. Like that. They all get started. That way you don't cross thread anything. Alright, it's all started. Now we'll take the handy dandy electric ratchet. Turn them down snug. going to torque them down. They get torqued to 25 Newton meters. Just like that. All right, now we're going to install the EGR tube. Just threads in like so. Just grab the universal wrench. Give it the old German torque spec. Good and tight. Just like that. All right, now on the left head, we'll install the PCV tube. Kind of wiggle it down and on there, and then the clamp is one you can just use your fingers. Just like that. And then on the back side of the motor, we'll hook up the harness for the knock sensor until it clips. We'll hook up the coolant tube into the first side of the throttle body. Just take a pair of pliers, get that one on. Do the same for the lower coolant pipe. Just like that, and then we'll install this air tube into the end of it. This one will be a little tight, but once you get it lined up, it's gonna start working it. Just like that. All right, now we're on the right head. We'll connect the black connector to the gray sensor, the blue to the black, white to the gray, and now we'll take the PCV tube and connect it to this valve cover. Again, just wiggle it, be kind of gentle, especially if this hose is a little hard, so we don't want to break it. Just like that. If we come around, well, yeah, just. All right, now we're on the front. This actually goes to the power steering pump as a power steering pressure sensor. We have your coolant temp, black into gray. And we have a gray into black for your crank sensor. And we just have the spade connector, that's your oil pressure sender. Just like that. And then on the left head, we have, on the very side, we have a black into black, another white into a gray sensor, and then blue into black, just like that. All right, now we're going to install plugs and the wires. We're going to do plugs first. Gap is 39 to 43 thousandths. Spark plug socket. Don't know if I need an extension or not, but all right, now we're going to torque them down. I switched from the swivel socket since my swivel one has a magnet, my regular ones don't. That way when you're torquing, it's not all loosey-goosey. But like I said, all right, now we're going to do plug wires. These NGKs are actually really nice. They come pre-numbered to pretty much replace your OEM wires. And these connections here, the little clips, just use a little screwdriver, release the tab, just like that. Then we'll just pick number 2, and we'll just peel it off. It'll be a little tight back here. All right, I got number 4 off after wanting to fight like crazy. We'll slide the new wire down. Push it until it clicks. Then number 4 is the rear, so we'll use the rear notches like so. And before we finally click everything down, we'll go ahead and put them on the plugs. Like that. Make sure everything looks good. And finally we'll clip those down. Now we'll do cylinders 1 and 3. Alright, for cylinders 1 and 3, just like the other side, pop this clip up like that. Alright, cylinder 1 is at the top. Wiggle it off like that. Grab the new one. I really like that these are marked. Looks original equipment. And it just looks better too. Alright, that clipped on. Something about like that. We'll do number 3. Slide that on until it clips. And run them down. Number 1. Push it onto a clips. Number 3. Just like that. That looks even. Push it on just like that. Alright, finally we're going to install the AC bracket, which actually has the lift point on it. And we're installing this so we can lift the motor back in to the vehicle. Get them all started. They're 14 millimeter. Run them as far as we can by hand. At least the ones that we can easily grab. And just run them down tight. Now with that installed, this thing is ready to go back in the vehicle. We're going to do the exhaust in the vehicle to be a lot easier.